Welcome to the recap for Dana White's Contender Series Week 1. It was a great night of fights. A lot of odd and first for Contender Series. Definitely interesting, and we'll get into it. So, firstly, we're going to get into AJ Fletcher versus Leonardo Damiani. Good fight until it ended very quickly. The fight was going the way that I thought it was. Damiani was being competitive on the feet and was defending the takedowns very well. I think I underestimated, with my pick at least, I had Damiani. I underestimated the stand-up that Fletcher had. Fletcher was setting up his strikes very well. Some nasty leg kicks which were compromising Damiani. I don't think he would have gone on in the second round. Moved the same way with his strikes. He's more of a boxer. He likes to be explosive. So Fletcher came with a good game plan, was chopping his legs. Was able to get a takedown. Damiani was able to get back to his feet. Competitive. They were both landing some big shots. And AJ Fletcher ultimately landed a flying knee and finished Damiani. He could have walked off. He landed the flying knee. Damiani was out. He could have had one of the best Contender Series knockouts, even though there are flying knees on Contender Series. He can fight, really. His aggressive wrestling. He's got good hands now. The man is evolved, and he got the contract. So props to him. Good fight for Damiani. He can bounce back, get back to Cage Warriors. He fought there recently. I'm sure they'll take him. But yeah, good win for AJ Fletcher, 24 years old. Good win. Now moving up the card in a flyweight bout, which I had anticipated for quite a while. Unfortunate that Altamirano had some changes up in his opponents, but so did Candelario. Candelario came in on short notice, 2 weeks, and he put on a good fight. The interesting thing was the scorecards. There's a lot of people that saw that Candelario had won the first and second round. I had 29-28 Altamirano, even though Dana White said that he didn't have it. It was a split decision. Competitive fight. Candelario was able to control him for the first round and a half, able to do work. But Altamirano was very active on his back. So, the judges probably saw it a different way in that second round and saw Altamirano coming back, and then that's why they gave him the split decision. But for the first time in Dana White's Contender Series history, even the loser, or not the loser, but the opponent who lost here, I guess, so the loser, got a contract. So they both got a contract. It was interesting because Dana White was talking about how he saw it as not a robbery, but he just thought that Candelario won, and I was interested in what he was going to do if he wasn't going to sign Altamirano, because Altamirano looked like a dog out there coming in the third round. But he gave them both a contract for the first time, so that's good to see. But yeah, both flyweights, good additions to the roster. Both 30 years old though, but Pantoja just doing his thing. A little older, but great. Both got a contract. Good additions to the flyweight division. Both scrappy. Candelario has some good aggression. Coming in on 2 weeks' notice, so we can see what he does later on. And I had Damiani in the first fight, and I had Altamirano in the second. So I'm 1-for-1 so far, if you care about that. But moving into the next fight, I'm so disappointed that I wasn't able to get a prediction video for JoAnderson Brito versus Diego Lopes, because I seriously am so high on JoAnderson Brito. He had a bout against Hussein. I'm not going to try his last name, but he's 23-0, and he was set to face him, and he was like a plus 200 plus underdog, because Hussein's 23-0, but I truly believe that Brito would have gave him a good fight. I'm not saying he would have won, but JoAnderson Brito in that fight probably could have made some noise and maybe had blown up a little bit if he got a victory over an opponent like that. But Diego Lopes came in on short notice. He was supposed to fight on the Contender Series, I think, regardless. But with Hussein coming out, they had to get Diego Lopes here against JoAnderson. And he put on a good account of himself for when it was on the feet. Just that obviously Brito just had the power advantage. So when they were on the feet, sometimes Lopes would hesitate. And I'm not sure if he even attempted a takedown. But JoAnderson Brito was just imposing his will. And then on the ground, Diego Lopes, being a jiu-jitsu fighter, didn't really have anything for him on the ground. He was defending all the submissions, and Diego Lopes was on his back the majority of the fight. So good win for Brito. Lopes, unfortunate. I'm assuming he will get another chance. And Dana even mentioned he's gonna get another chance. Talented fighter, just an unfortunate opponent. And Brito, who I think he's got the potential to be some top contenders in that featherweight division. I think he can grab top 15 for sure. The man's got power and he's got natural ability, so I think he can make it very far. And he got a contract, right, in a very controversial, decision. I saw a lot of people were mad about it and were saying that he didn't win. Um, you could have your feelings towards a fighter that does eye pokes and those types of things, but you can't deny that Brito was winning that fight and he was imposing his will, and he definitely deserved to get a win. Um, but yeah, like it's just your opinion if the way you view the fighter. I just think he deserved a contract. They're in there to fight, and he did his work. So there's that. And moving up the card, we had Azamat Murzakanov versus Matheus Scheffel in a light heavyweight bout, and Murzakanov starched him. He came in as a massive dog, undefeated fighter from Russia. Stigma towards Russian fighters. I'm sure the money line bettors were on that immediately, and it reflected that way. Murzakanov was a lot more calm in there. I would say Scheffel was kind of reacting to a lot of things that Murzakanov was doing. And they were feeling each other out. It wasn't the most volume heavy fight. But Murzakanov just caught Scheffel and just put him out. He just put him out. He's got some crazy power, super explosive. A little bit shorter for light heavyweight. Dana even mentioned it. Even talked about him moving down to middleweight. But I'm sure he'll do fine in both. Hasn't seen a loss yet. 10-0 now. Crazy power. It is unfortunate that he is 32, I believe. A little older in his career, but I'm sure he could do some good things. But I'm not sure as far as breaking. I want to say breaking top 15, but making big waves. He's a little older, so eventually things are gonna happen. But I do see him as a stable. He's undefeated right now. Good fighter out of Russia, and overall good amount of fights. A lot of contracts were given now. Murzakanov won a contract. AJ Fletcher with a contract. Victor Altamirano and Carlos Candelario both got a contract. So, and Brito got a contract. So it's a lot different the way one Contender series was before. Contracts weren't given out as they are now, but it just shows the pool of talent that's coming in. I'm very glad that there's a show like this to show that type of thing. Get insight on these fighters, especially regional fighters. And it was a good night. It was I would say maybe a 7 or 8 out of 10 for Contender series. Very good competition though, and it was a good night. And that'll be all. Peace.